Hey everyone, welcome back to the Metaphysical Moment here at the Skeptic Metaphysicians, where we dive into all things mysterious, spiritual, and sometimes a little out there. I'm your host, Will, and today we're tackling a topic that's intrigued, confused, and fascinated people for thousands of years: reincarnation. Yep, I'm talking about the idea that you could die, come back, and get a second shot at life, or a third, or 100th. Sounds kind of cool, right? Or maybe a little terrifying. Either way, it's a concept that pops up in cultures, religions, and even some spooky childhood stories. So let's dig in and figure out what reincarnation is all about. First things first, what exactly is reincarnation? In a nutshell, reincarnation is the belief that when you die, your soul, or whatever it is that makes you uniquely you, gets a new body. It's a spiritual reset button, so to speak. You could come back as a person, an animal, or something else entirely, depending on your belief system. Now, reincarnation isn't just some fringe theory. Major religions like Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and even some early Christian sects have included some form of reincarnation in their teachings. Hinduism, for example, teaches that the soul, or Atman, is eternal, cycling through different lives until it reaches moksha, or liberation. Meanwhile, in Buddhism, the goal is to break free from the cycle of rebirth by attaining enlightenment, kind of like a spiritual version of leveling up. But here's where it gets really interesting. Reincarnation isn't just limited to religious texts or ancient teachings. Tons of people across the world claim to have had past life memories. That's right, some folks swear that they remember living entire lives in another body, in another time. Take the famous case of James Leininger, for instance. He was a young boy who claimed to have been a World War II fighter pilot. He remembered vivid details about the plane, the battles, and even the specific names from that era. And to make things a little weirder, those details matched up with real historical facts. Now, skeptics will say it's just imagination, things picked up subconsciously from books or TV or conversations. But for believers, cases like this offer a peek into the possibility that we've lived before. Who knows? Maybe that random dream you had about being a 16th century pirate wasn't so random after all, matey. Now, what's the point of reincarnation? Why come back again and again? The answer depends on who you ask. In Hinduism and Buddhism, reincarnation is tied to karma. The idea is that your actions in one life, good or bad, determine your circumstances in the next. So think of karma like your cosmic report card. If you're a decent human being, you might come back as something better. Maybe a philosopher or a philanthropist or a podcast host. But if you're a real jerk, well, let's just say your next life might not be as glamorous. There's also the theory that reincarnation is a way for the soul to grow and evolve, each lifetime giving you new experiences, new challenges and lessons, kind of like how you level up in a video game by learning new skills. So maybe that's why you keep coming back, because your soul hasn't quite hit the final level of spiritual enlightenment just yet.
Ooh!
All right, but what does science have to say about reincarnation? Well, you might be surprised to know that there's actually been some serious research on the topic. Dr. Ian Stevenson, a psychiatrist, spent decades investigating cases of children who claimed to remember past lives. He documented thousands of cases where kids had knowledge of people, places, or events they couldn't have possibly known about otherwise. These kids even had birthmarks or physical traits that matched injuries or features from their alleged past lives. Now, does this mean reincarnation is proven? Not quite. Many scientists still see it as anecdotal, with more rational explanations for these claims. But hey, just because we can't fully explain something doesn't mean it's not worth exploring, right? Life, it's a mystery. And some of the best parts are the things we don't truly understand yet. All right, before we wrap things up, let's have a little fun. If you could choose to be reincarnated as anything or anyone, what would it be? Would it be a fearless lion, a wise old monk, or maybe a rock star in the 70s? Well, let your imagination run wild because, hey, if reincarnation is real, you could come back as almost anything. I'm going to be crossing my fingers for a rock star. One thing's for sure, whether you believe in reincarnation or not, it opens up some pretty wild possibilities about life, death, and what might happen after we take our last breath. And at the end of the day, maybe that's the whole point, right? To keep asking questions, to stay curious, and to wonder, what if? All right, folks, that's it for today's episode of the Metaphysical Moment here on the Skeptic Metaphysicians. Thanks so much for hanging out with me as we pondered the possibilities of reincarnation. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe and leave a review. And if you've got any reincarnation stories or maybe some past life memories you want to share, hit me up. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep those cosmic vibes flowing, and remember, life's a journey, whether it's your first or your 50th go-round.